Welcome back to the A-Star Sports Show. We've got a lot to talk about in this next episode, including Anthony Joshua's fight against Prenga and the other fights on that card, MLS Midway recap as games come back from the World Cup, Formula One mid-season talk around, just like a chit-chat about what's been happening in Formula One, because I missed that on the end of last episode. A question about whether Tsitsipas will ever come back to what he once was in tennis, and a little talk about some of my fascinations with Australian sports and also New Zealand sports. So a bit of those talks too, just as a possible talk about at the end of the episode. So first, today was a big fight for Anthony Joshua. He came back from his hiatus from boxing to face Prenga before his possible fight against Tyson Fury, or his rumored fight against Tyson Fury. So yeah, the preliminary card was not that interesting, to be honest, but it all really got underway with the main card, and Nishant Dev defeated Cesar Diaz in the super welterweight via a first round KO, and that fight was just pretty good. It was like instant KO. It was quite remarkable. And then the super middleweight fight between Jacob Bank and Powell. Jacob Bank defeated Powell August by a unanimous decision. That didn't really shock me at all and wasn't really much of a fight. And then the super featherweight was the next fight between Tsutsumi and Herrera, and Tsutsumi beat Herrera on a second round KO, so another KO. And then the two next fights were title fights. It was the first defending titles for Shiraz for middleweight and Kelly for super welterweight for the IBF for the super welterweight, and WBO for the super middleweight. They were both kind of slow to get going fights, and they weren't really very interesting as per se. That's why I'm kind of lumping them together. Shiraz should have really fought better in his fight, for sure. Kelly was kind of a more competitive fight between the two, but like overall they should have fought better, both of them, to be honest. But let's get to the main event, which was a doozy. So we start off with Prenga knocking down Joshua in the first round. It was like a shock, and everyone thought it was over, and Joshua don't know what his career would happen after that, and whether he'd even fight Tyson Fury. But Joshua got together, he got back on his feet. He was a bit uneasy for the rest of the first round, but then he got back together. They got to the break at the end of the first round, and he came back in the second round and took Prenga out cold. Oh my god, some nice, hard, heavy combinations into the floor went Prenga, and this was a doozy. It was all over. Call the hospital. Prenga needs surgery. So yeah, this was definitely Anthony Joshua showing he is back, and definitely showing he is a contender for future fights, yeah, and even to possibly face Tyson Fury at the end of the year. So overall, it was a good fight card to watch, especially the last fight. And with the whole story with Anthony Joshua, if you look into it, it's great that he came back and had a quick win and showed he's still the fighter he once was. So overall, it was a good fight, and I was happy to have watched it. The next thing we're going to talk about is MLS Midway recap. So basically, just a small recap of the MLS right now. Nashville is top with 39 points by quite a bit. This is on Eastern Conference. I think they're top of the whole thing too, because I don't think the West has many teams that have that high points. I think Nashville, Inter Miami are top by the whole thing. But Nashville, Inter Miami, Chicago, New England, Charlotte make up the top 5 of the East Coast. And then the West Coast, Nashville, Inter Miami, Chicago, New England make the top of the East Coast, and Charlotte make the top of the East Coast top 5. And the West Coast is Vancouver, San Jose, LAFC, Salt Lake, Dallas are the top 5 of the West Coast. And then there's a few other teams that make up the last few spots for the playoffs, like Seattle and Houston and people like that. But they'll come all into play later on in the season. The points for Eastern Conference really jump when it goes from Inter Miami to Chicago. Yeah, Inter Miami and Nashville are way ahead on points against most teams. So yeah, for the whole league. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting end to MLS, and I think we also got Leagues Cup for American and Mexican and all that soccer. So yeah, the end of the soccer season for North America is going to be pretty interesting. I've not got any predictions. I'm not going to do that right now. So we'll just see how it happens, because things can change. And Inter Miami just signed Casemiro for one, so that's another good player for Inter Miami. There's been a few signings throughout the league. I think, was it Chicago just signed that Polish striker? I forget his name now. Just forgot his name. The one who played for Barcelona. Why have I forgotten his name? Anyway. Yeah, I forgot his name. My mind just got blank. And then a few other teams have signed some players. I think Orlando was meant to be signing someone. I don't know who again, I've forgotten. But yeah, some teams that are possibly in the running. Orlando isn't even in the running right now. They're like only possibly going to make it into the playoffs. So they probably need somebody. Yeah, the lower down teams are like Atlanta and Philadelphia and people like that. Philadelphia has just not performed this year at all, which is quite a surprise to me. LA Galaxy has not performed really either. And yeah, actually the Western Conference teams, it's not that surprising who's not performing other than LA Galaxy. So overall, and I'm happy that New England is doing pretty well right now, because they've not got a superb team at the minute, but we'll see what happens. And then my next topic to talk about is the Formula One mid-season chit-chat. So, mid-season chit-chat. So, for Formula One, Mercedes is way out in the lead for the team cup. Ferrari is second, McLaren is third, and then kind of jumps down from there. But McLaren, Ferrari, and Mercedes all have fairly large gaps. The drivers that have won championships are Mercedes, Antonelli with way ahead. And then it goes down to Hamilton and George Russell from Great Britain, both of them. Ferrari and Mercedes in second and third, who are very close together. 159 for Hamilton and 154 for George Russell, who races for Mercedes. And then Ferrari is fourth even. So Ferrari and Mercedes, all four drivers are top four. There's two Great British people in the top three. Number one is an Italian. And that's about it. Like, the races, Kimi Antonelli is a outstanding new prospect that is just shocked everyone. And won like half the races. So yeah, it's just quite surprising what has come out of Formula One recently. Leclerc and Hamilton also got a race, two races, or one race each for Ferrari for winning, and George Russell has won two races. But Mercedes is obviously dominating. So next topic we will talk about is, will Tsitsipas ever get back to where he once was with his tennis career? Well, he just won a small title, just like one of the basic ones, not anything big. One of the ones of the season, which is kind of an achievement, yes. But like he's I don't know what he's ranked now, because he was originally ranked, I think, in the 60s, 70s for ATP. But I don't know what he's ranked since his title win. We'll see how he gets, where he goes from here, because he was once one of my favorite players for a period when he was like top 10. I didn't really kept up with him in the last couple of years, until I noticed his match was on last weekend in the final that he was in. So yeah, I'll keep checking on him, and I'll note an update in like a later time to revisit it for this show. But overall, I don't think he's ever going to get back to where he once was, because there's a lot more competitive youngsters right now, and he's just not at that level anymore, to be honest. So yeah, the last topic that we're going to talk about is my Australian sports fascination. I have a few sports that I occasionally watch when I'm awake at night, if I am awake. Which isn't good, being awake at night, honestly. But when I am awake at night, I sometimes watch. I've got my Aussie rules football fascination, which is a crazy sport if you watch it. It's like a mix of like rugby, football, American football, and soccer, because they score goals by like kicking a ball between posts. So like it's a crazy sport. Like, they get rough. They can really do anything. If you ever get a chance to watch it, at least get a glimpse of it. I'm not saying go out and aim to go and watch millions of games of it, but I'm just saying, if you ever get a chance to watch some of it, it's highly recommended by me. And then also another I occasionally watch Australian soccer, but I haven't really been watching it much recently because I don't think it's on right now. I don't know when the season is, I forget, and it's hard to watch these days. I think it's on Paramount Plus, I'm not really sure what it's on anymore. But the other thing I sometimes do watch is Australian basketball and New Zealand basketball. The New Zealand Basketball League is on ESPN Plus, so it's kind of easy to watch, and it's on like during the early hours of the morning. Sometimes, so when I'm awake on occasion during the morning, I sometimes watch it. But yeah, that's fun to watch too, because the games can be very unpredictable, and scoring is all over the place in each of the different games, because the teams aren't really that very different from each other, and there's also not a whole lot of good defense and not a whole lot of very good scoring. It's just a crazy ass game to watch New Zealand basketball, to be honest. If you ever get a chance to watch it, it's worth watching, but I wouldn't walk over hot coals for it. So that's just a little bit of talk about my Australian sports vaccinations. Overall, a good week in sports, and I will be back probably on Thursday, I think. Thursday will probably be the day I come back, maybe, as long as I have time to do it on the day I have off in the week from work. I will see you guys all next week. Have a good week.